Hello and welcome back to another episode of Injustice For All MMA. My name is David, and this episode is for UFC 312, PLessis versus Strickland 2. This fight card is 10 years late. If I'm at the time of recording, it is February 21st. So for anyone who listens to this, none of this really matters. But I'll talk about it anyways. I just finished the fight card, and I left I already knew who won the main event. Now, I will say this. I did know who went. Jesus, I can't even speak right now. I knew who won the main event, but I was able to conceal all the other fights. So everything else was brand new to me. So I was watching everything with fresh eyes. And this card didn't really disappoint. It was actually a pretty good card. A lot of interesting narratives to talk about, but we'll get to that when I talk about the individual fights. No one got robbed on the card, but there were some small niggles here and there. But other than that, let's get through with it. We'll start with the first honorable mention. Okay. Micallef. Yeah, I'm starting off great. Micallef versus Jousset. I had this 30-27 to Micallef. I put a close marker on the last round. Honestly, I think Micallef outstruck Jousset in that third round, but the funny thing about this fight card and previous fight cards is people are just scoring off of optics now. Everyone is scoring off of optics. Even the commentary. Guys, this commentary crew is killing me. Okay. Anik is becoming more and more just outspoken in how he sees these fights to where it's pissing me off because half of the time he's kind of wrong. And then we have what's his face? We have Michael Bisping, who actually wasn't bad this fight card. I think he was he was a lot more reserved, actually. I don't know if that's the time zone or if because they just told him, hey, could you shut the fuck up most of the time. And then DC was actually pretty okay. The problem with DC, though, is there were some fights on this card where when someone got a takedown, it's almost as though he would forget that scoring is an element in MMA and would just kind of highlight the takedown. He would just highlight the takedown. I think there was a fight on this card where he mentioned, oh, he got the takedown, so therefore he won the round. There was something to that effect, and I had to compose myself because I'm doing this thing now where I'm not getting as angry anymore. I'm calming down. But Anik was the one that really caught me on this fight card. Just so much nonsense coming from Anik, and we'll talk about it later on because there's some fight cards where he really shined. He really shined how fucking retarded he was on commentary. But back to the fight, Jesus Christ. 30-27 to Micallef. I put a close marker on the last round. If you go to the first round, Micallef dropped and outstruck Jousset by about 6 strikes. He dropped him with a head kick. Second round, Micallef outstruck Jousset by about 7 strikes. Then the third round was kind of close on the feet with the edge to Micallef. I thought he outstruck him by a few, but again, the optics police came out. It's a weird thing. There's a lot of fights where someone's winning, but the optics are in their favor, so to say. Jousset had more intensity. He was a lot more upright. He was going forward in the third round, and because of that, it looked as though he was beating Micallef, but he wasn't. He wasn't beating him in that third round. In fact, Micallef outstruck him in that third round. The body language police doesn't help. It really doesn't help. If your body language looks bad and you're getting touched up a little bit towards the end of the rounds where it's kind of close, the judges are just going to give it the other way, even though Micallef kind of outstruck Jousset, really. Don't ask the unofficial strike number. It's crazy. Every once in a while, we'll get these things where the strike numbers come up and the commentary picks and chooses when to do the strike numbers. It's the most infuriating thing. One moment it's okay, the strike numbers are like, but they are unofficial. There was a meme tonight where almost every time they didn't agree with the strike numbers, it was Well, they are unofficial. Well, they are unofficial. Up until Anik, who we'll get to in a minute, he was just terrible tonight. Where the strike numbers come up for Strickland. I mean, the amount... Anik's jaw must be tired from the amount of movement he was giving to Strickland. So much love he gave to Strickland. We're gonna get to it. But one instance was round 4, where they showed the unofficial strike numbers for round 4, which are wrong. They're just wrong. They're dead wrong. They had Strickland up by 4 strikes in round number 4. It's ridiculously stupid. But hey, they're unofficial. Haha, they're unofficial. But when they don't matter, when the strikes matter, they're unofficial. When they don't matter, they're not unofficial. We'll use them. We'll use them right now. It's the goofiest thing. But that's my point. Micallef outstruck Jousset in the 3rd round, at least by my account. But I put a close marker there because it was very close, and Jousset got that on all 3 judges. Scorecards. You go to the scorecards. All of them read the same: 29-28 to Micallef. First 2 rounds for Micallef, Mark Collette, Charlie Keech, and David Letheby. You go to the next honorable mention. That's Rongzhu versus Steele. This fight was awesome. It was basically just back and forth. Well, and by back and forth, I mean one guy was obviously killing the other, but very entertaining fight. If you're not scoring this, if you're scoring this, it was pretty cool. My scorecard reads 29-28 to Rongzhu. I gave the last 2 rounds to Rongzhu. The fight is Rongzhu versus Steele. 29-28 to Rongzhu. Last 2 rounds to Rongzhu. First round to Steele. I put a close marker on it to be objective, but I was very surprised that this first round didn't go to Steele. Again, the optics police comes out. Like, let's just be real here on this round. First of all, no one got dropped. Let's just be clear. No one got dropped in this first round, okay? Both of them were stunned. In the first instance, Rongzhu got stunned, and then Steele got stunned, right? They got caught really, really badly. Steele had a takedown. Rongzhu had a reversal. Not much ground and pound by both. And then, little to no ground and pound by both. And then, here's the funny bit. Despite both of them getting stunned and no one getting dropped, Steele still outstruck Rongzhu in this first round. Now, it was obviously trending towards Rongzhu. The fight was trending that way. But we can't fucking score fights off of what's trending to the other person. If that were the case, then Weili would have won the first round. As much as I wanted to score the first round for Weili, it's obvious that you can't score the first round for Weili because we'll get to it. Just how the round was structured. But I put a close marker just because there was just so much in that first round. I can't just definitely say, "Hey, Rongzhu lost the first round." But honestly, this first round should have gone to Steele. Never mind that. You go to the second round where Rongzhu dropped and outstruck Steele by about 21 strikes. In the third round, Rongzhu outstruck Steele by about 28 plus strikes. And then that's where you pretty much have it. On the scorecards for the judges, it's 30-27 across the board. Assault Yamada, Evan Field, and Clemens Werner. Then you go to the next honorable mention, and that's Thicknesse versus Topuria. Thicknesse, that's a fucking cool last name. And then Topuria, that's also a cool last name as well. I had 29-20 on my scorecard. 29-20 on my scorecard. First round for Topuria, last round for Topuria, second round for Thicknesse. Close marker on the second round. In this first round, it's close on strikes. It's close on strikes with the edge to Thicknesse, but Topuria gets a takedown to close the round, and he also lands on, and he also stuns Thicknesse. He doesn't drop him, but he basically drops him, but he doesn't drop him. He's stunned. He stuns him late in the first round, so that round is cleared Topuria. You go to the second round, or it's close on the feet with the edge to Thicknesse. Thicknesse outstrikes Topuria by about one to two strikes. They mentioned this a couple times in the fight, the commentary, where they say Topuria is, he's not really throwing a lot, right? But this is a funny narrative that happens. Sometimes there's these strikers, right? I remember there's a fight where I can't remember. There have been many fights where a fighter is not throwing a lot, but his strikes are so effective that he's kind of winning, right? It's kind of damage over volume sort of situation. In this case, that's not the case here. It's not the case here. While Topuria is throwing, he's throwing little to no strikes, really. He's getting outstruck here. Let's not even play here. Thicknesse is outstriking Topuria. And while Topuria may have landed a heavy strike in this round, he was outstruck in this round. And I know my marker says 1 to 2 strikes. He was outstruck. Okay? And I think this round should have gone to Thicknesse. Put a close marker on it because the strike count isn't too far. So you can argue the round for Topuria. But I'm just surprised. There's these times where I'm surprised that all 3 judges are in unison on this. Where they give a really close round. All 3 of them just see it in Topuria's eyes. But that's beyond the point. Maybe that's just a me thing. You go to the third round. Thicknesse outstrikes Topuria on the feet by about 4 strikes, but that doesn't matter because Topuria gets a takedown and lands some ground and pound for about 2+ minutes. Body, head, body, head, and then some good ground and pound on top. You go to the judges' scorecards. All 3 of them are in unison, 30-27 across the board. Mike Bell, Ben Cartledge, and Charlie Keech. You go to the next honorable mention, and that's Nolan versus Borshchev. I think I can't remember exactly, but this might have been the fight where it all started, where Anik was tweaking. But if something pops into my head about what he said about this fight, I'll remember. Nolan versus Borshchev, 29-28. First round for Nolan, last round for Nolan. Second round for Borshchev. I really think this round should have gone to Borshchev. I put a close marker to be objective. You can argue the round for Nolan in the third round. I didn't, but you can argue it for him. Let's go to the first round where Nolan had a takedown and he outstruck Borshchev by about 10 strikes. Okay, second round is close on the feet with the edge to Borshchev. I think he outstruck him by about 2 strikes. Nolan gets a takedown. But he does nothing with the takedown. Borshchev gets up relatively quickly and then continues to outstrike him on the feet. Most of this round is on the feet, and while my strike count is 2 strikes, Borshchev is continuously going forward and he's striking away. I think this round should have gone to Borshchev. Again, it's a close round. Cool, boom. You then go to the third round where it's close on the feet. It's pretty even on the feet. Borshchev gets a takedown with some ground and pound for about 2+ minutes. But here's the funny bit about round 3. And now I remember correctly. Borshchev was getting killed on top of Nolan. Nolan was giving out Kevin Holland versus Jacare Souza level bottom game. He was giving out Shara Bullet Magomedov bottom game ground and pound. Like, that's what was going on here. No one was so active on the, like, to call Borshchev's ground and pound is to lie. Is for me to essentially lie on here. Borshchev gave some ground and pound, but he was getting beaten up and touched up from the bottom. And that work alone gives Nolan this round. It's insane that there's a part in this round where, and I'm assuming what DC was trying to say is that the judges lean that way if a guy is on top. And I think that's true just looking at these scorecards. But the tone in his voice didn't emit that. The tone in his voice almost emitted as though he thinks whoever's on top is winning the fight. And I thought that was absolutely ridiculous because he mentions that in this fight where he goes, oh, Borshchev's on top, he's winning. And I was thinking to myself, he's getting killed right now. There's no way he's winning this round. And 2 judges disagree with me, but that's pretty much what it was. He was getting murdered on the ground. He was getting murdered from bottom. When Nolan was on the bottom, Borshchev was. So, ridiculous. I had this 29-28 in the last round for Nolan. You go to the scorecards. You go to the scorecards, and David Letherby, his scorecard is technically the most. It's technically the most correct out of the three. He gives all 3 rounds to Nolan. Again, the second round is close. He gives the last round to Nolan. He's the only judge who gives the last round to Nolan. The other two, they give the first two, Ben Cartledge and Charlie Keach. They give the first 2 to Nolan. I don't have a problem with it. But then they give the last round to Borshchev. I'm going to say honorable mention. That's an incorrect scorecard. Fuck that. That's an incorrect scorecard. I don't care what anyone says. Honorable mention to those two. It's ridiculous. And then we go to the Phantom scorecard. Jenkins versus Santos. And what I mean by that is, if you go online, you can't find the scorecard for Jenkins versus Santos. You can't. It's in the ether somewhere. And I don't know why. It just makes it really mysterious, because if you watch the fight and you listen to the commentary, here's why it's interesting. I have my scorecard. This fight ends in a submission winner for Santos in the 3rd round. I have my scorecard as 10-9 for Jenkins in the first, 10-9 for Santos in the second. Here's what happens in the first round. It's very interesting. In the first round, Santos outstrikes Jay on the feet, and he has a takedown with some ground and pound, but that's towards the end of the round, actually. He also has a submission attempt. It's not deep, but it's a submission attempt. But here's the kicker, no pun intended. Jenkins he drops Santos pretty early in the round with the head kick. It's a nasty head kick that drops Santos. And then from there on, and mind you, Santos is on top of him. He's doing some work, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot. He lands a few strikes, but it's nothing serious. And while I think he wins the round, Santos kind of takes over later in the round. Now, I'm not saying that you give this round to... I would argue that you wouldn't give this round to Santos, but we don't have the other judges' scorecards to see how they looked at it. Is there a chance that they scored the first round for Santos? Do you think he did enough work to come back? I don't know. Maybe they did, but we can't find the scorecard. One thing is for certain, I'm sure none of the judges scored the second round for Jenkins, because in the second round, Santos had to take him with ground and pound for about 3+ minutes. He was dominant from that position onward, and then he ends up winning in the 3rd round. Yeah, so that's just a very interesting one that we just can't find the scorecards for some reason. I don't know why. The scorecards are fucking missing, but they're missing. Then we go to the Draw King, Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo Bahali. What the fuck? Hold on. Rodolfo Bellato? Bahalto. Bahato. I don't know. Bellato. I'm going to say Bellato. For Jimmy Crute versus Bellato, I had this 28-28. I was so fucking surprised when I heard 29-26. What the fuck are these niggas? What are they scoring? Who's scoring this? It's just bad fucking scorecards all across the board. 10-8. We have a 10-8 in the first round for Crute. Okay, and the last 2 rounds are Bellato. 28-28, that's the scorecard. Okay, let's start off in the first round, where Crute has a takedown with ground and pound for about 3 whole minutes. Okay, he then drops and outstrikes Bellato. He drops him. He's on top, giving out big ground and pound for 3 minutes. I mean, it's a 10-8. It's a simple 10-8, and that's what it was. You then go to the second round, where it's close on the feet. Okay, but you give the edge to Bellato. All right, he outstrikes Jimmy Crute by about 3 strikes on my strike counter, and he's outstriking him pretty well. Right, it's kind of even, but then slowly towards the end, Bellato's starting to like gain speed and really starting to outstrike in style on Crute, despite the strike numbers being so low. And then you go to the third round, where Bellato has a takedown, and he outstrikes Crute by about 9-10 strikes. From there on out, you knew it wasn't a 28-28, but 2 judges, Mike Bell and David Letherby, their scorecards reflect mine. And then Mark Collette, he gives the second round, his scorecard reflects everyone except for the second round, where he gives the second round a 10-9 to Jimmy Crute. I can't call it close. It's close on the strike numbers, but that round isn't close. Honorable mention of Mike Collette. You go to the next one, and this is it. Here we go. This is where I can complain and be a little baby. Okay, let's start off with this. Zhang Weili versus Tatiana Suarez. Since the moment Tatiana Suarez was born, since the moment she was conceived, she was destined to fight for the belt, right? That's pretty much how they pitched it. I remember back in 2020 or 2021, I forgot, she fought somewhere. I think she fought in a place with no crowd. I can't remember I'd have to look it up, but I remember just the women she was facing couldn't get up from a takedown. It's just what she was fighting. Inept competition. She was fighting shit competition. Okay, and if you watch many of her fights, she also couldn't strike, and you could see that from a country mile away. You could see it. So when the odds came out, I was saying to myself, going, "Yo, Tatiana's favored." People really fell in love with the narrative, and it's I understand what the commentary's job is. It's to sell the fight, but if you're John Anik, it's to be fucking annoying and lecture to us about, oh, this guy's tough, and look how tough they, blah, 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 right? John Anik's cool, but he's becoming a little gay. The commentary's there to set up the narratives, but sometimes the narrative is fucking wrong. But they can't shit on the product like we can, where we know that Tatiana Suarez is fighting girls who can't wrestle, and fighting most girls whose striking isn't good enough to deter her takedowns. Okay, I'm sure there's some people. I'm sure there's some people in this weight class who can give Tatiana Suarez some level of fight back. But once this fight started, I'll tell you this: before this fight started, those odds were ridiculous. At the very least, they should have been even. They weren't. And imagine taking plus money on Weili. I don't want to get into a betting thing because I don't even want to talk about betting. I don't bet. I don't want to do it. But imagine taking plus money on Weili. You would have been, in hindsight, I swear to the Lord, if I had like a day off and I saw that money line and I was in Vegas, I would have taken $1,000. I would have gone to Vegas and I would have said, put $1,000 on Weili. I'm going to go back home rich. And I hope some people did. I really hope some people did. But whatever. Let's get into the fight. The fight starts. 49-46 is my scorecard. First round for Suarez. The rest of the rounds are for Weili. 49-46. Very simple. First round starts. Suarez has a takedown with little ground and pound. And when I say little, it's almost little to no ground and pound because she spends the first 2 minutes just holding Weili. It's not really ground and pound. She's not really doing anything. I say little to no ground and pound because she landed some, but it's more body, head, and it's more nothing that I have to be objective and just write little because it's 3 minutes. Weili then gets a reversal with little, and I say little ground and pound because of just the time. If she had 2 more minutes, maybe 1 more minute, you can argue this round for Weili. Weili gets a reversal and proceeds to land, I would argue, better ground and pound. Better now. If she landed a lot, if she just went apeshit, then you can argue the round for Weili, but she didn't. She gets on top of Suarez for that minute remaining, lands a couple strikes here and there, and then kind of just holds on. And by holds on, I mean Suarez is holding on to Weili to deter her from landing heavy strikes. Okay, I want to say this again real quick for no one listening. Suarez can't strike, but John Anik wants you to know that she had a really tough test against some girl I don't remember anymore. Tatiana Suarez is really, really tough. That's the angle that from this round onwards, you are now hearing the personal podcast of John Anik telling you how tough and serious Tatiana Suarez. Tatiana Suarez is so tough, dude. Tatiana Suarez's chin is so tough. Do you know her boyfriend is Patchy Mix? Do you know how tough Tatiana Suarez is? Hold on. How tough is Tatiana Suarez? She's so tough that she's getting beat up like every other girl that Weili has fought. I'm lost. Man, Tatiana Suarez is so tough. You know how many people go to decision against Weili? A lot of them, actually. What the fuck are we on about? What is going on? Craziness. Absolute crazy. It's so much glaze coming from John Anik that we couldn't even appreciate what Weili was doing. He even tried doing some of that in the Strickland fight. We'll get to that. But what happened to glazing the fighter who's winning? If this is Islam Makhachev, if this is anybody else, if this is John, it's glaze. If this is Islam, it's glaze. But Tatiana's getting styled on. She's going for takedowns. And she's getting U-turned. She's getting flipped around. She's getting outstruck in the clinch. She's getting outstruck on the ground. She's getting outstruck on the feet. She's getting pushed back. And John Anik doesn't care. John Anik just wants you to know how tough Tatiana Suarez is. In that second round, okay? In that second round and onward, Suarez doesn't get a takedown. Because now she's tired, and it's a thing that I've noticed, right? That no one seems to be talking about. Tatiana Suarez has never fought 5 rounds. She's never fought 5 rounds, nor has she gone to 5 rounds. This is her first time she's gone to 5 rounds, and you can maybe argue that the same thing with Amanda Lemos, where I think she's fought 5 rounds, but she's never gone 5 rounds, to my knowledge, at least in the UFC. She's never fought 5 rounds. She was tired after the first round. She was tired instantly after the first round. Now, that could be from the cut, from her leg, but whatever. That has to factor in. The fact that the commentary doesn't even highlight that point is kind of insane to me. It's really insane. Second round, they had to take them with ground and mouth for 2+ minutes, and she outstruck Suarez on the feet. Second round, she outstruck Suarez by about 18 strikes. In the fourth round, she had a submission attempt and a takedown, Weili did, with ground and pound for about 4+ minutes. If you're going to argue the 10-8, because the judge scored a 10-8, I would argue in the fourth round, she's on top of her giving out ground and pound for 4 minutes straight. 4 minutes straight. That's the 10-8 there. He gave it to her in the fifth round. Weili outstruck Suarez on the feet. The optics police again for that judge. She's outstriking Suarez on the feet by about 11 strikes and has a takedown with ground and pound for about 2+ minutes. So there you have it for the entire fight. This fight was a great performance for Weili that was overshadowed by John Anik just wanting you to know how good Tatiana Suarez is in a clear losing fight. Had me steaming. Had me steaming. We go to the judges' scorecards. Mike Bell and David Letby, their scorecards reflect mine 49-46 for Weili. Micallef, he has it 49-45. He gives the last round at 10-8. Cool. There's no need for the 10-8. It's an unnecessary 10-8. Go to the last honorable mention. That's Du Plessis versus Strickland. The narrative surrounding this fight is that the first fight was close. I personally don't think the first fight was close. I never thought that. Du Plessis won. I thought he won pretty clear. 48-47, but I think he won pretty clear. I think it was 48-47. I can't remember, but yeah. Yet the commentator will remind you every chance they get. Not only will they remind you, but sometimes they're not even watching the fight. A clear example is round 1. And I'm not even looking at those Twitter scorecards. I think they're fucking ridiculous too. Round 1 happens, and it's clear that Du Plessis is outstriking Sean Strickland. But everyone is going, it's close, but like, Du Plessis more active. No. Fuck that he's active. He's outstriking Sean Strickland clear. Now, is Sean Strickland as active? No, he's not as active. That is important to highlight. But Du Plessis doesn't win this round because he's more active. He wins this round because he outstruck him clear. That's 1. 2, John Anik just glazing Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland is losing the fight. He's losing every single round in this fight. If it weren't for one goofy judge that gave a round to Sean Strickland, he's really giving it out. And he proceeds to then say, he highlights Sean Strickland's tough. Sean Strickland has a style that's very tough, very true, but These are all in moments that du Plessis is winning the fight. Highlighting strikes by Sean. By the way, Sean Strickland is throwing a lot of strikes that is getting blocked by du Plessis. It doesn't look like it's getting blocked, but a lot of them are getting blocked. Also, a lot of Sean Strickland's strikes are also getting blocked by du Plessis. Many of his jabs were getting blocked. In fact, he lands a 1-2. Correct. Let me correct myself. He doesn't land a 1-2. He throws a 1-2 that gets deflected and gets parried by du Plessis multiple times. And in one instance, John Anik then goes, "Oh, great 1-2 by Sean Strickland." He's looking at the same stream. He's looking at the same screen we're looking at, and he says, "Great 1-2." Both of them were blocked. I don't understand it. It's almost like he's doing like anti-commentary, where Daniel Cormier and Michael Bisping are kind of like, correctly showing that du Plessis winning the fight, and then just for fuck's sake, John Anik will come in and go, No, but look at Sean Strickland. Look what he's doing. There's no need for that. This isn't a close fight where you need to like play off being impartial. If that's the case, if it were close, I would understand John Anik's role as being the other man. But there's no need for that because he's losing clear. Many times it's just, that round was close. The first round, that was close. Second round, that was close. It was up until the third round where they're finally admitting, but they don't want to, that, it's 3-0. It's 4-0. He needs a finish. I mean, obviously, Sean Strickland's corner knew that it was over, but the commentary were still holding on to, first round's kind of close, second round's kind of close. It wasn't. None of these rounds were even close to close, including round 4, where they lie. They lie. Sean Strickland did not outstrike du Plessis. He had some moments, but he did not outstrike it. Forget about the big shot in round 4 that bust Sean Strickland's nose. Who the fuck cares? He busts his nose, but let me tell you this. Not only does he bust his nose, he still outstrikes him. Okay, let's go through this shit real quick, because we're done with this card already. First round, du Plessis outstrikes Strickland by about 11 strikes in that first round. Fuck what they're talking about. 11 strikes he outstrikes Sean Strickland by. In the second round, he outstrikes him by 8 to 9 strikes on my counter, at least. Third round, it's 15 to 16 strikes. And then in the fourth round, it's 7 strikes. Again, that's the round he lands the big shot, but he's not losing. He doesn't get outstruck du Plessis in that round. In the fifth round, du Plessis outstrikes Strickland by about 21 strikes. At first, it's kind of close because Strickland's kind of throwing back a little bit, but then trending towards the rest of the round, du Plessis starts to outstrike him. In the middle to later in the round, he starts to outstrike him. I have 21 strikes on that one. You go to the judges' scorecards. 2 judges are correct. Saldi Amato, Clemens Warner. It's 50-45 to du Plessis. And then one judge has to fuck it up. Ben Carlich. This is what's funny. He gives the second round to Sean Strickland. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. You can't. Honorable mention of Ben Carlich. It's a stupid fucking scorecard. That's all I got. I'll be back 10 years from now with the next one. Joking. I'll be back hopefully relatively quick. Thank you all for listening, and God bless.